was Geisel. In 1988, he celebrated the role of books and libraries in one of his little ditties. And here's what he wrote. In a country where illiteracy is on the rise and the economy is sinking low, he's been dead for a long time, sounds like he's writing about today, unfortunately, it is comforting to know that though the frost is on the pumpkin and civilization is on the skids, you library guys are ferociously working underground, smuggling books into the hands of kids. I kind of like that. Andrew Carnegie has already been cited. And you know, Carnegie is one of the great affirmations of our society. He came here as a 12-year-old with a family struggling from Scotland for existence, and he became one of our first billionaires. He's the model for Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. And some of you might want to take this advice, who now have people signing on to give away half of their billions. So I know there's some people in Suffolk, you know, including at Stony Brook. Actually, the guy at Stony Brook who headed the hedge fund, who's the math chair, has already signed on to do that. Carnegie, from his immigrant origins, gave away almost his entire fortune, establishing 1,700 public libraries. Not many of them on Long Island, but he gave a lot of people the chance to join in that process. Lady Bird Johnson, who actually liked being First Lady. I'm just kidding, actually, a little controversial. Lady Bird Johnson, who was really quite marvelous, especially because she had to live with Lyndon. If you doubt that, read Michael Beschloss's book, Reaching for Glory, where he was the first person to use Lady Bird Johnson's diaries, and she's incredible. He wasn't so incredible, she was. Anyway, she said, perhaps no place in any community is so totally democratic at the town library. The only requirement is interest. This permeates throughout our society. Jefferson said, information is the currency of democracy. His protege, James Madison, what a great relationship they had. Adrian Koch wrote a book called The Great Collaboration, in which Jefferson said, when he was 83, and Madison was about 10, 12 years younger, and said to Madison, take care of me when I am dead. What an act of friendship, take care of my values. And if you've been to Monticello, know that Madison had like his own little space where it's sort of like couch surfing today, where he could stay at Monticello. No wonder why Madison didn't marry until he was 51. If you could hang out with Jefferson, and have that kind of sharing. But Madison was brilliant. And I might just mention parenthetically here that one of the dramatic things about Monticello that few people realize is that there's a family from New York that owned Monticello as long as the Jefferson family. Does anyone happen to know who it was? See that? People say, man, I went to that library session and learned one new thing. So, one of the techniques of pedagogy is trying to see if people actually have an answer to something. They say, wow, he actually said something I didn't know. The family that owned Monticello as long as the Jefferson, about 80, 90 years, was Uriah Levy's family. He was a Jewish naval officer who celebrated Jefferson for championing religious liberty. And when Jefferson died and dead, and William Levitt was going to come in and build houses, no, it wasn't Levitt actually, but they're going to subdivide and build houses there, Levy said they can't do that to Jefferson. And he bought the estate, which was later taken over by his nephew, appropriately named Jefferson Monroe Levy. Could have been Jefferson Madison Levy, but it was Jefferson Monroe Levy. And eventually it was taken over to become a national landmark. All of that is quite extraordinary. But next time you go and you stand in Jefferson's study and you look to the east, there's one grave marker outside that study, and the rest of the graves are down below the hill. The one grave that's outside there is a...